Gunmen the Apocalypse. Again, I watched this as a viewer and was knocked out. And the cowboy sequence, which is filmed in a cowboy town, where the executive producer, the producer, became temporarily deaf when an insane cowboy set off a gun next to his ear.
So let me show you how my gun works. Bang.
This is a simulation of a western town where there are a group of people who sort of inhabit it
In Kent.
mainly at weekends and holidays in Kent, and you're not allowed to wear watches. You get fined if you have any 20th century accoutrements on you, and you go around with your gun. You actually sleep in these little huts.
Eat a lot of beans. Can't smoke filter cigarettes. If you smoke, it's got to be rollies.
Could they wear glasses or important things like that?
They couldn't. They're not allowed to wear anything that wasn't there.
So they're loonies.
So Y-fronts were out, were they?
Long johns only. Stained long johns.
Also, at this point, Janet Street Porter was then, I don't know what she was head of. She was in
I thought you were going to say Janet Street Porter was there as well.
No, she wasn't
cowboys.
there. But there was, she read the script and said, those boys have really gone mad this time. And tell them, she said to our agent, this show is completely impossible to shoot. And Charles was able to say, they finished shooting it yesterday. Remember that?
That's interesting. Yes, that was her contribution. But it's in her defence. You look at that script and you think, it's like a classic script to show a new writer how not to write a sitcom, a studio-based sitcom, because it's I remember because we recorded, I think the fourth show we recorded, third or fourth show we recorded in that series, and Kerry, the production manager, was saying, look, she'd been around everyone and saying, look, we cannot possibly do this, in the available time, in the available budget, and could you rewrite it so it's like a gangster film or something?
Oh yeah, a gangster film.
But this was like the week before.
That's right.
She said, "Can you make it a gangster film? Because we could do that."
But before we wrote it, we knew we were going to do a western, and we said, are there any good western towns? Because we won't shoot it. We won't write it unless we know that there's somewhere we can go and shoot it.
Yeah.
And they eventually found somewhere, and we had to pretend we'd written the script. Remember that? And we went to do a recce.
Yes.
And they were going, so what exactly is this? And so we were going, well, in the street, there's sort of like a gunfight, and the guys will be sort of standing here, and then what happens? Oh, and then there's another scene where, and we hadn't a clue, had we?
We hadn't. And
and they believed you.
Rocket.
Yeah, because you just got sort of dialogue here, a few jokes, and then.
I remember at the planning meeting, Rocket, the camera chief, said he reckons we could shoot the western sequence in 5 days, and we said, well, we've got 2, and it turned out that we didn't have 2 because of the overnights. It was officially outside of London. All these technical things conspired to make it. We had to shoot it in a day. We were it was originally called High Midnight, the script, and we were going to do it as a night shoot, and we couldn't afford that either.
No.
So you shot all that western stuff in a day?
Yeah.
Apart from the saloon, which we did, which was an interior, which we did back in the studio.
But it was such a wing and a prayer, because if there'd been a cloud in the sky, and this was in, I think it was November or something, it was ridiculously late in the year, so there was very little daylight anyway, but we got a perfect day, perfect shooting day.
No, it was fantastic, actually, that day.
Danny's gun work is very impressive. Now, is this a trick, or is this for real?
That was
the
for real.
Would like
That
to know.
was for real. We actually had a rig up for him where the gun span around on a little spindle, but that didn't work, and in the end, Danny did it himself. Don't know where he learnt that from.
He's good at that kind of stuff.
Look out if you meet him in the street.
Yeah.
And yes.
And he loved the outfit, didn't he?
Yeah.
Prancing around it.
Absolutely. They all loved it, didn't they? And they could play at Cowboys. And there was also the horse story, where Craig had never ridden a horse before, but didn't bother to tell anyone, and wasn't scared at all. And everyone else had ridden horses, and everyone was absolutely petrified. And he did the whole, I wonder what happens if you dig your heels in and shout giddy up, do they actually go? And he caused all 4 horses to charge off down the street, and they had to go around the field twice before they could slow them down.
Oh, I remember the closing sequence. We'd originally written it, the Starbuck goes underwater. And Pete
yeah.
Rager does the special effects, who never says, no, he can't do that. You know, he just wrinkles his brow and goes away and quietly has a nervous breakdown and comes up with some way of doing things. But he came back to us with that and said, look, lads, you can't do water. This is the guy who did Stingray, you know. Because the thing is, when you're doing miniature shots, the water droplets have a minimum size, don't they? They can't get any smaller droplets. And so it's very obvious when you splash something into the water that it is a scale model. And so you're thinking, oh my God, we really fancied that and we like that. And he said, well, I could do you a lava planet.
Yeah.
Like that's worse.
That's easy, lava. Yeah.